You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
Today, I'm going to be interviewing Lisa Marie Platske, the CEO of international leadership development company Upside Thinking Inc. Lisa is passionate about coaching, training, and speaking on topics such as leadership, vulnerability, connection, communication, performance, positioning, and productivity to corporate leaders and business owners alike. And she's a big advocate that the thought of success lies just past your comfort zone. All right, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Great to be here.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time. So tell our listeners something interesting about yourself and also where you're calling in from today.
Something interesting about me. I have a background in federal law enforcement, and I am calling in from Alexandria, Virginia.
Alexandria. I flew in there maybe 6 months ago for lawsuit litigation, but wasn't a fun reason. But I enjoyed Alexandria. It's very nice. Yeah. Very cool. So,
DC area. In fact, sometimes I'll tell people, "Oh, I live in Washington D.C." because they'll say, "Oh, you mean Virginia, like West Virginia?" I'm like, "No, they're different states."
Yeah, you're right. No, it's funny how many people don't know that because I spent a lot of time in Charlottesville for a few months right after college.
Okay.
For a job, but it's beautiful. I love Virginia in general. But yeah,
I do. It's a quieter area. It's a much quieter area. Beautiful.
So law enforcement. What kind of law enforcement?
Federal, and I started off on the piers in New York in the United States Customs Service. And then after 9/11, I was in New York at the time and ended up, the agency moved into the Department of Homeland Security in Customs and Border Protection.
Oh, very cool.
That was my second career.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your company, Upside Thinking, and tell us a little bit about what kind of business it is and what it brings to the marketplace.
Sure. Upside Thinking is a leadership consulting and coaching company. And the organization really is about helping people have permission to do whatever it is that they're being called to do. I primarily work with change makers, trailblazers, and people who are often called boat rockers. Those are my people. That's how if they've ever been told that, I'm pretty clear that that's my people. And awesome. Destiny designing is my superpower, and leadership coaching just happens to be my vehicle.
So tell me who are your clients typically?
I have a really broad mix because I work with corporate. So they might be larger entities like Pacific Gas and Electric or Perry Ellis or Rolls-Royce. They may be larger organizations. And then there's also entrepreneurs who are business startups or individuals who want to start a business, individuals who've been in business for 10 years. It's really broad because what I do is not, it's not about the industry. It's not about whether the person is an intrapreneur working inside a larger entity or an entrepreneur working in their own business. What I do with leadership doesn't matter.
Let's dive into a little bit about what do you feel like the top level, very high level, how you're able to help entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs.
Okay. Yeah. So what I often speak about is permission. I have 7 pillars of leadership. And in those 7 pillars of leadership, most people don't design what they want. They design what they've been told would make money or what it is that everyone else is doing. And most of what I share is counterintuitive to what's out in the market. Yesterday I had a woman who has a business that's a 7-figure business, just about $15 million business. And she's been doing it for about 18 years, the way everyone has told her what she needs to have, what she needs to do, what she needs to say. And I asked her a simple question. What is it that actually brings you joy? Like, what is the thing you really want to do? If you just focused on that, I guarantee you could double your revenue. And this is just such a mind-blowing concept.
Yeah. I love that. I love the contrarian effect. You're speaking my language, so I'm picking up what you're putting down for sure. And I, in my signature speech, a lot of it is about being a contrarian. I speak to some universities, and that's my focus is sometimes having them kind of go upstream a little bit, right, and thinking outside the box, and realizing that Got Milk is a very, very funded program, that milk isn't good for you. Like things like that, where everything is stuck in our minds, especially as we grow up, that we, even in the marketplace, right? Like I just recently had a gentleman named Chris Miles on the show, has been on CNN, great contrarian effect of just the anti-marketplace investor. And I love it. And so I just met with
Love that.
I just met with him yesterday here in Utah. He was on my show. I'm in Utah, and I was like, hey, I'm in the area. We grabbed lunch, and it was a no-brainer. Like I'm probably going to end up giving the guy a lot of my personal like investments, where it's just like, you know what, it's not doing anything in the marketplace. Let's risk it, and let's realize that there's such a higher return on something else, because so many people are just like you're talking about. I wouldn't say brainwashed, but for lack of better terms, we've all just been kind of predisposed with our parents and everybody else to assume that's how it's supposed to be. That's how I'm supposed to do things. And when you take that risk to be a contrarian and do the opposite of what the other, there's a reason why I always say there's always a reason why there's a 1% in the top 5%. They're not doing what the other 95% are doing, right? Right. And so there's a reason for that. Yeah, it's very simple. It's logical, but the way that the actual, I guess, how we're structured and how we do things from a day to day is not so logical, I guess. So that's awesome. So give me a time a little bit about when you felt in your business, Lisa, that you felt you've kind of hit rock bottom. Share a story where you felt you're close to it at least, and you were able to overcome that potential disaster.
You only want one? I mean,
I know. Believe me, this would be a 3-hour show if I talked to entrepreneurs about how they almost hit rock bottom. I know it.
Right? I mean, it's so. That's
like
why I believe people don't realize that it is all about being in the fire. Like that is what being an entrepreneur is.
Yeah.
It is the greatest personal development journey ever, let alone professional development journey. Like it is incredible. So I can give you many times when it felt like it was just the end. And one story that comes to mind is, I have an event that I've done for this will be I just completed it a couple weeks ago, Design Your Destiny Live. I've done it for 12 years. And 1 year when I was sharing with people and really pouring out my soul, I had someone who I had brought in to speak, who I truly trusted, who went to every single person in the event and sent them a text and said, you should really work with me instead, because I can provide better services.
Wow.
And why do I say it was a rock bottom? Because it was a betrayal, and because it made me question my value, which I was clear was solid. It made me question people. And then the financial impact was significant to my business. Now, what I'll say is I really believe that those experiences are the best gifts. Every time I have something that rocks me to my core, I trust that the universe and God, because that's not what everybody believes in, but I believe in God, has got my back and is simply closing something so that something more magnificent can show up. And so what happened didn't happen immediate. It took about 6 months. And I ended up having a highly profitable and productive year with less overhead and less, heavy lifting. If you say there were more partners that came in to just leverage and ease the load. And I was really pretty clear that this was painful. And one other piece that is important to share is that 2.5 years ago, I was pretty close. I was pretty clear that I was going to close my business down. I had someone do something, and a couple other just series of betrayals where I had trusted people, had given them money, and they didn't deliver. And I just was like, I'm done, God. And so I went to Costa Rica with the intention of closing my business down, giving my clients back the money that they had given me, and just stepping out. And Mike, I heard God's voice say, "This is yours to do." And I said, "What's mine to do?" I was angry.
Yeah.
And I heard "Design Your Destiny" live. And I often hear a voice. And
Awesome.
for some people that might be crazy. This has been happening since I'm 6 years old. So,
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you. It's God will speak to me in very quiet, succinct voices. He never gives me very much of a story. He never says, he never guarantees anything. There's just these little words that pop up, and
it's not a text message, right?
Say, "Oh, come on, really? Like, really? Can't you give me a little more than that?"
Yeah, I know it.
And so I hear, "This is yours to do." And I'm like, okay, but then you better have my back on this. And my last 2 years have been the most exquisite experiences on stage at my event. What I learned is that it wasn't the content that needed to be changed. I needed to be changed. Myself, I needed to be truly broken down and rebuilt back up again. And so there's so many stories, and you're right, it would be a 3-hour store if we
Sure.
3-hour show if we had to go through all.
I appreciate you sharing that, Lisa. And I think that kind of even like the end of my show, our outro is always Jim Rohn's one of my favorite speakers, and I learned a lot so much from him. It's just, in order for things to get better, you have to get better, right? In order for things to change, you have to change. And that has stuck with me for so long, and it kind of resonates with what you're saying. Nothing had to change. Everything is internal, right? That's why topical creams don't work. It's all internal, right? It's about what is coming on the outside and from the inside going out. And I love to hear that when it comes to just understanding that a lot of people's on this show, just like yours, mess becomes the message. The mess becomes the message. And I love that because I love hearing it today too, because sometimes I feel like the universe helps out, and it's very godly as well. And I'm a big God believer as well. But so when it comes to what you're saying, I'm going through something currently within my employee world and within the business world where there is a big kind of punch in the gut and an issue happening with an employee, and things have to happen, right? But I get it, and it's unfortunate, but these are the things where that mess, and I'm trying to talk to my VC company and advisors and my counsel and talking about, realize this is going to make us so much better and stronger. We're going to have our backs against the wall for a while, and it's going to suck, but it's going to make us so much stronger. And it's hard for them to see it, but I'm sitting here trying to be Mr. Tony Robbins to these guys, and they're all more business and suit and tied up, right? And it's just like, listen, I know it. Believe me, I feel it too. And it hurts, just like you got betrayed. I'm in the same position, but at the same time, I know that when we come out of this tunnel, the light's going to be so much brighter, without a doubt. We're going to dive into our guests' experiences in business and life after this quick message. Life Nation, are you struggling with growing your business and hitting goals? Or are you over the 9-to-5 grind, finally ready to take the dive into entrepreneurship? What are you waiting for? Go to michaelivas.com to set up a free, no obligation coaching call today. That's MIKEOLIVAS.com. I can help you. It may be the best call you've ever made. Why do you think a lot of entrepreneurs out there, in your opinion, Lisa, why do you think they decide just to give up or they fail?
You just talked about it.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will create external tactics. They'll focus on getting the next marketing campaign and the next great photo of themselves in various places that they've never been. And they'll do all of these things that perhaps are, maybe they've been told that are going to help them. And yet so much of what we've spoken about is the internal.
Yeah.
I have 7 pillars of leadership that I walk every entrepreneur and intrapreneur through. And at the same time, when someone is backed up against something, I'm real clear that it's an internal block. And oftentimes it's around forgiveness of themselves, forgiveness of others. What we carry around with us affects every interaction. Those energetics can be felt. When you give a proposal to someone, they can feel what you were experiencing, and whether it was inspiration or desperation, whether it was incredible fear or joy, they can feel it in the paper or the email. our cellular memory can tell. And so it's not the tactical that has people go out of business. It's the unwillingness to self-examine and say, where do I have to show up differently in this situation? What am I doing that is having this occur? Even in the case of me with the betrayals, it's like, okay, so what's my gift? What's my lesson? What does God want me to see here that I'm not seeing? And how do I show up as love in this situation for myself and everyone so that they win and I win, even if there was nothing that I did to quote cause this, right? It's about how I'm showing up in that next iteration.
What kind of next steps, or let's just say, what kind of things are you excited about currently within your business that you got going on?
Well, I'm really excited because I have put all of my planning on the side and I'm in a listening phase.
Oh, cool.
Where do you want me to go?
That's a fun
I have
phase.
some big projects on the horizon, and at the same time, I'm in a discernment and a listening. I was recently asked about doing a peace fellowship, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then someone approached me and said, would you be willing to do some work, some leadership work with a group of congressmen? And I said, okay, I want to be in quiet and say, just because I'm being asked, is that really where I'm being led? So this is an interesting season for me as someone who likes to have my I's dotted, my T's crossed, my next project lined up, the marketing campaign behind it, and all of those clear next steps. So I'm in a lead and I will follow phase.
That's exciting. Okay, good for you. And tell me a little bit about where, well, before I ask the last question, where can people find you if they're interested in chatting with you, connecting with you, learn about the 7 pillars, of course, maybe a website, your social world?
Yeah. So my website is upsidethinking.com, UPSIDE, and the word thinking, THINKING.com. And I have a positive, happy life page with Upside Thinking on Facebook, as well as my own personal. I love personal connection. I'm really interested in personal connection. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm really not that cool to be very active on Twitter or Instagram. I'm just not.
I think you're pretty cool.
You know.
Well, tell us, here, my final question is always just knowing that our listeners are entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. I like to give them a piece of parting advice. If you can help us out with that, and maybe out of all your successes, and of course we've had the failures in your business, what is the one piece of parting advice you'd give to the business and life nation listening out there today?
It's a great question. And for me, it's that it's really not that deep. There's no way to get it 100% right, and there's no way to get it wrong. It's just life, and life can be messy and hard and painful. The world needs you and your brilliance. And if you don't go out and do whatever your great thing is, the world misses out. It's that simple.
I love it. Short and sweet, like our show. Perfect. Lisa, thank you so much for dropping the knowledge bombs today. I really appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you, Mike. It's an honor to have been invited.
Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.